Hi there, Aries. I'm EllaAradia, and welcome to your March 2026 Psychic Tarot reading. This reading is for my Aries fire signs, where we'll be exploring the overall energies and themes for the month ahead, as well as taking a deeper dive into how these might be playing out for you in your life. This is a general reading, so it's going to resonate a little bit differently for all of you. But what I find is there's always a shared theme that runs through the collective of all of you Aries signs. So take what feels aligned to you and just leave the rest. And before we jump in, a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoy this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then get notified when the next videos are up. So Aries, let's jump in. So I always like to just tune into the energies first, Aries, before I start pulling any cards. I just like to see what gets shown to me. Feeling some energies of uncertainty and a lack of clarity on a situation. And I do feel many of you are going through, some kind of tower moment here, because I'm feeling things collapsing. I'm feeling something breaking down, and I see the words too good to be true. So, this may have been a recent creative opportunity for some of you. It may have been a recent love connection. Because for some of you, I'm sensing someone that has recently come into your life, in the last few months, that may have, pursued you very, very intensely, moved things forwards very intensely, said all the right things, maybe even put you in a relationship. But what I'm feeling is, of course, as time passes, you get to know the person a little bit more. And I'm feeling like some cracks are starting to appear here in the connection. And there's a lack of clarity, there's a lack of trust as to, where you stand with this person. Are they to be trusted? Because I keep seeing somebody on their phone the whole time, constantly sending messages. And kind of that energy of, when you sort of go near them and they change the screen or they put the phone down. And I definitely feel like a suspicion as to, who are they chatting with? Are they entertaining other connections? And, I do feel like this is someone that you get on really well with. I do feel like you have a lot of fun with this person. But I also just keep picking up on a little bit of a player energy that maybe, not everything is quite as it seems. They may be presenting themselves in a certain way, but as time passes, you're starting to see, these other things. With your overall energies, the Nine of Cups, emotional contentment. Usually in a love reading, though, this is somebody who is kind of saying they're okay on their own. It's very much more of a single energy. It's this balance between kind of being open and closed. Sometimes on a personal level, it can represent us getting to a point where, we're kind of feeling okay on our own. We don't necessarily need to be in a relationship. What lies in your recent past, the Hermit. Your current energies, the Four of Pentacles. Got a lot of closed off energy here. That's the kind of the vibe I'm feeling from these cards here. The Nine of Cups, Four of Pentacles. I feel like this is the person that you're dealing with. And what I get a sense of is, as time has passed, I feel like the connection started to feel very one-sided for many of you. I feel like you're dealing with someone who is maybe a little bit self-absorbed. It's all about them, their world, their life, their needs. someone a little bit controlling, and not much about yours in this. And it may have triggered, I feel, for many of you, a little bit of soul searching with this Hermit card here. The Hermit's all about going within and tapping in, coming on tail end of a cough here, tapping into that inner wisdom. You know, the Hermit's a well-traveled soul. This is somebody who has a lot of life experience and has a lot of wisdom that they've learned, you know, from those experiences. But I definitely see there's a lot of soul searching going on for you, Aries, about this person right now. And, you know, whether this is something that you want to continue on with or not. You know, I do feel like, I mean, there's something you do get from this. Like, I do feel like you have fun with this person. They feel pretty, like, charismatic. I see laughter and fun. But what I am seeing, the difference I am seeing here is your heart's open and your heart's in it. And I do feel like the person you're connected with, you know, is enjoying, you know, hanging out with you and having fun and stuff like that. I'm just not sure they've got the emotional depth. I'm not sure if they're ready for commitment, because I do feel you are dealing with somebody, you know, with this 9 of Cups here and the 4 of Pentacles. I do feel like you're dealing with someone who is quite guarded. They're very kind of walled off in a sense. And, you know, having this control, you know, with it being, you know, much more about them than it is you, I feel is a little bit of a protection. I feel like this is where they're guarding their heart. You know, they get to take things at their own pace. They get to do things on their terms when they want. Their needs are being met. But what I'm feeling here is yours are not. And you're both kind of shut down at the moment, but in very, very different ways. You know, you are going within, you're soul searching, you're looking for answers. You're looking for answers, you're looking for clarity here. That's what I was feeling at the beginning, this lack of clarity. Whereas the person that you're dealing with is kind of barriered and closed off. So it's a very different kind of going within energy. Your feelings towards your situation is the world needing something to go to the next level. That's what the world is all about here. It's a card of graduation and very much represents the ending of a chapter, the beginning of a new one. But sometimes it's not necessarily about an ending or a completion. Sometimes it can be when something moves to the next level. That could be moving in together or, you know, putting a title on the connection, something like that. But it's a card of growth, card of graduation. And I feel like it's kind of got to this point with you where you are needing a little bit more clarity from your person. You're needing things to go to that next level. What lies in the challenge? The Knight of Pentacles. You know, like when I see that card in the challenge, I get the sense that this is someone who knows what you want. They know what they should be doing. They know what they should be investing in the connection. I'm almost getting the sense of you being led to believe that, you know, this could be something more. This could be something for the long term. But I'm just not sure if what is being presented to you is the truth here. So the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight in the tarot. And in the challenge, I would say that's where you're not getting any movement. It's like a person who knows what they need to do. They know what you want, but they're not stepping up. And with the hidden influence, we have the 8 of Cups. An invitation here from the universe, I feel, around walking away, moving on from somebody that is not emotionally fulfilling for you. That's the biggest kind of feeling I get here. I feel like that for me, it's a sense like of not really feeling seen by this person, and not only not being seen by this person, not being received by them. They've never really received your presence. And yes, they're fun, and there's a lot of laughs and things like that. There's a strong, physical attraction there. But emotionally, I definitely feel, that is what is missing here. And I kind of get this feeling, maybe they're not looking for that, but I feel like you are, and that's the difference. So I feel like you potentially are on different pages here. The Eight of Cups represents some kind of emotional departure. It represents somebody moving on. So that's either you or your person. So there's definitely some kind of make or break point here. And it could be you that decides to, just let this go and move on, because it's all about moving on to what you really want and having that emotional happiness and fulfillment, what you really want in a partner. Because I keep feeling like when I tune into this person's energy, I feel like their energy is open to others in some way, whether that's conversations, texting, I keep seeing someone on their phone a lot. Almost just kind of keeping other options open, just in case this one with you doesn't work out. And I just feel you might be dealing with somebody who is kind of on the cusp of a player energy and, getting closer to, something long term. But, with this Nine of Cups, that's one step back from the Ten of Cups. So they're really not quite there yet. And I do feel there's a big question here around what do you both want moving forwards? Because sometimes I think we can stay in something a little bit too long, hoping for something to change, hoping that, something might be different if we just do this or we say this or we act in a certain way and maybe they'll change, maybe things will be different. But, there's only so long you can kind of hang on. You have to look after your own emotional needs in this. And it might be that this is what this connection ultimately is about for you. It is about learning those soul lessons. It is about, staying true to you and what you want in a connection. I feel like this is someone, I really feel like a player energy. It just keeps on kind of coming back to me. Keep seeing somebody, like flirting and like entertaining conversations. I feel like they like the attention. It may not be that they're actually kind of cheating, but I do feel like it's some kind of like just keeping options open in the event of perhaps something not working out here. And I definitely feel a little bit of a caution here, Aries, to just look after your heart in all of this and make sure you are seeing the whole picture. Because of course, with the world here, you see a potential. I feel like there's something you do get from this person. There's some kind of structure, like they feel like family or something like that. You do get something, you do have fun, they're a presence in your life, but they're also not stepping up and they're also not fulfilling, what you really need in this connection. It feels very one-sided to me. And I definitely feel, the more time's passing, the more these cracks are starting to appear. And it may be time to really listen to your heart in this, Aries. Tap into your heart, ask your heart, and just be brutally honest with the communication that your heart gives you, because your heart always tells you the truth. But a lot of the time we don't really want to listen to it. but your heart knows the answer. And it may well be, you know, if they are not going to step up, if they are not going to make a shift, it may be time to, you know, just have a look at perhaps moving on from this, you know, finding the courage to just let go of who or what's not really right for you. Even if it means kind of going solo for a bit. You know, sometimes we have to, you know, make that demonstration to the universe, like we have to say no to what we don't want, rather than entertaining it, to just kind of send a message, you know. So send a message to shift your energy so that ultimately you can attract somebody who is in alignment with what you really want. But sometimes we have to take that action. We have to send that message not just to ourselves, but to the universe. Because I just keep feeling these energies of, you know, how honest are they being with you in terms of, you know, what they want for the future, in terms of where you stand with them. There's a lack of trust here because I feel like there's suspicions as to, you know, are they being loyal to you? I feel all of that. And at the same time, it's a powerful connection. You know, it could well be a soulmate connection, but, you know, what the purpose of that connection could actually be is about you learning to stay true to you and to look after your needs and really love yourself and know your worth and value. And, you know, this may have been a theme for many of you. You may have been working on this, you know, for some years. Sometimes these can be life lessons for some of us. And part of that integration sometimes is actually standing in it, owning it, and actually demonstrating that to yourself, to the universe, by taking some kind of action here. So with your advice from the universe, we have the Chariot. This is all about reclaiming your power, making some kind of move here, taking some kind of action, and really getting back in the driving seat of your life, you know, holding the reins, because I definitely feel whatever this is, it's taken a lot of your energy. You know, for some of you, this can relate to career. It could be, you know, a work opportunity that kind of looked great, but then when you kind of delved in a little bit deeper, it wasn't quite what you thought it was. You know, or you could be in a job which is, you know, not really giving you what you need from it. You're not feeling appreciated or valued in some way. And very often when we feel like that, it is a sign, you know, it's an invitation from the universe to go where you're celebrated and valued and appreciated. And sometimes that involves moving on and making a decision and being brave, you know, finding the courage to do that. What lies in your outcome? The Hierophant. This is a card of commitment. In a love reading, this is all about the kinds of connections which are built on, you know, shared values and beliefs. You know, it's about strong foundations. It's about working, you know, for the long term. And very much I feel a message around making sure that the person that you're dealing with, you know, or the thing that you're getting involved with, you know, is in alignment, you know, with those core values. Because ultimately, you know, those strong foundations are really what is going to stand the test of time. You know, not somebody or something where you're feeling, you know, unappreciated or undervalued in some way. And so either way, you know, whether that's taking a step back for the moment or for some of you moving on, it's all about embodying those lessons and just trusting that it will lead you to the right thing, the right person, where it will be something, you know, for the long term, and you will have that commitment. So Aries, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels right for you. So thanks so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.